So now that I've had this coming by wig for a month, I think I'm finally ready to give my final review, as well as kind of show you what works for me when applying the lace front, and then my final thoughts on the hair overall. And as always, welcome to the SunnyWares channel, where I share everything under the sun that makes me happy. I'm going to apologize in advance. I had no intention of making a 10-minute video, but that's just kind of how the cookie crumbled. So if I could help it at all, I like to try to start with my own hair clean and dry, because like I said before, I've been having some scalp issues after having this baby, so I don't want to be all itchy under a wig, which is the other reason why I'm just using the cap, same one that was provided with the wig when it first came, but instead of gluing it down, which is what I did the very first time I wore it, I decided to just push it back just a little bit off my hairline and just use it like this. So I use the yellow glue, and I go ahead, and this is going to be my first layer. This layer I put on fairly thin, as you can see, and I do apply that to the whole front of my hairline, kind of helping to lay my hair kind of back off of my forehead, and use the yellow hairspray as well. And I just let that get tacky before I do anything. Also, starting with the wig, freshly washed, because this was the first time I wore the wig after I had straightened it for my birthday. So I co-washed and conditioned, and these waves came right on back, so that was good. I do go ahead and use the adjustable straps that are with the wig, put them to the setting of my preference, and slide that bad boy on. At this point, the gel is tacky, so I do position it where I would like it, right above, above my natural hairline, and start to kind of press it in where I want it to be, just to see what parts of the wig will actually catch that first layer, especially right there in the very front on the top, because that's where you don't want caked up gel. So I try to see if I could get away with not having to do the extra layer right there. I'm definitely not expecting the sides and the ear tabs to stay with just that one layer, but I go ahead and press all of it down. Then I take it, and I will take a ponytail holder and grab it back, or take a clip and grab it back, so I can see what parts I need to start applying the second layer, and I just take it section at a time. So that's what I'm doing here, and I did not show putting more hairspray, but when I do the second layer, that's pretty much what I do. I put another thin layer of glue on the gel, on the area that I am gelling down, and I put a little more hairspray as well. On that second layer though, I kind of prefer for it to be a little bit still damp and not tacky, because then I can continue to reposition and swirl the hair around with the rat tail portion of the comb as I'm working, and it is getting it to where I want it to be as it dries, instead of it being all the way dry or tacky when I'm doing that, because I've let it dry too long and didn't get anywhere, or it's been too wet. So I kind of found that somewhere in the middle, and having that first layer tacky and then that second layer kind of damp, is what works best for me. Sometimes I skip this step, but here I decided to go ahead and take the scarf just to kind of help keep it in position while it partially dried, although I normally take it right back off. This is sped up, of course, but still normally only just a couple minutes, because my ears and head be hurting And I just will go ahead and take the blow dryer to finish drying it the rest of the way. On cool, of course. I sweat in my head enough. I want the first, you know, application of it to be okay. And as you can see right there in the front, I kind of had some lifting, so I'm gonna have to go back and put just a little bit more glue. I keep saying glue, and that's not what it is at all. It's gel that we're using as glue. I don't think I'll be brave enough to use actual glue, so little bit more in that spot, and I do the same thing, and I don't wait for it to dry because it is the second layer, and I just use the rat tail part and just swirl it around. I'm being messy and liberal, as you can see, not so precise because I'm not putting on makeup, or this will be before I will put on makeup, and so because of that, I'm not caring about how far down on my forehead the gel or the hairspray actually gets. So after that, then I kind of try to see like what style I'm going to fashion it in, because that will determine how I lay them baby hairs. Kinda, sorta. And so normally when it's in its natural state like this, and I'm not going to put any more extra product to define the curls, I kind of just like a side part. And there I was just kind of doing my little shake test to try to make sure that I had pulled my hair down all the way in the back and that it wasn't going to be sliding up. So I finished parting and kind of playing with, you know, where the hair is going to like fall, so that I can mess with the baby hair. And again, because I have all that residual gel and hairspray already on my forehead, I'm just only going to use some mousse to moisten some of the baby hair and kind of just lay it into the gel that's already right there. That way, again, I'm not having stuff all caked up, and any parts that were white that were already like that from applying the lace, I could just re-moisten that and use that to lay the hair. And a lot of times, even though I went through the process of I took the baby hairs that the wig came with and I kind of trimmed them down, and then I took even more baby hairs and kind of made them even smaller, kind of did like 2 type of layers so that it's not all perfectly uniform. I let the hair lay how it wants to. So if it doesn't lay one direction and it wants to pop the other way, then that's the way that I will smooth it down, because it just makes no sense to try to make hair lay where it doesn't want to lay. Especially since it's in its natural state, freshly washed. So I ain't trying to beat this hair into submission at this point in time. I don't know, a lot of people don't like baby hair, but when my hair was long, I still had baby hair. I had naturally short hairs along my hairline, and it was always a freaking obstacle trying to get the hairs to the edges to kind of like lay down, because I have naturally curly hair. So I like baby hairs for that reason, because they're a natural look for me. And that's the hair. And it didn't want to, it was kind of trying to flip over to cover the part, so I started slowly making my way to the other side. I'd only worn the middle part once, and the middle part only seemed to look good when I put extra product in it, which was like wetting it back down and putting some leave-in conditioner on it. To kind of give it some weight and tame the wave. So we're not going to stay there. I'll part it again, and I think I found how I want to wear it. The only thing that I didn't really like was all throughout the lace frontal part, there was those short hairs. If you can kind of see when I parted it on this side, those little short hairs, which was the same length as the baby hair that came in the front, but it was all throughout certain parts of the front. So that had to be tamed depending on what style I wore the hair in. But overall, I feel like I did pretty good with customizing and bleaching the knots. I didn't do any plucking to the hairline because, again, my natural hairline is pretty full. And so for me, that's a natural look. I don't need it to be very sparse in the front for it to look good. And that was that.